What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Pulse. Today we kick off our Ask an Advisor series. We at the Voices of Autism asked you if you had questions about the autistic experience. You came back with some fantastic questions, and today Bri and Terri kick off this series with a discussion about accommodations. Let's dive into that conversation now. Are there any accommodations that have been helpful for you in school or at work? For me, the biggest accommodation that I found throughout my career has been hybrid or remote work. So since about 2010, I've had almost exclusively hybrid or remote positions. That's eliminated so much stress for me. And for me, that is an accommodation that completely changes the way I function at work. So if I have a commute, I'm looking at things like having to get up at a certain time every single day. No matter how good or bad the shower feels at that moment, it has to happen at that moment because it's part of my routine. That can throw me off. If I skip breakfast, that can throw me off. The actual commute itself is horrifying. It was about an hour to work every day. It was awful. And by the time I got to work, all of these things that just kept adding up and adding up and adding up completely destroyed any chance of productivity that I had. So I was not functioning at my very best. And when I had those jobs that allowed me that freedom to work from home and skip that commute and skip all of those morning stresses, it opened my brain for a calmer, more productive day. So hybrid and remote work, like biggest accommodation for me. The second one is control over my space, specifically with lighting. So I've always had either my own office area or classroom as a teacher, and I could control the lights. So I would unscrew the overhead lights and have lamps. That also is super helpful because I cannot work under bright overhead lights. And the last thing is wearing comfortable clothing like hats and jeans, specifically jeans. I'm a jeans wearer. It's a sensory thing. It's only been in the last couple of years that I've even been able to wear track pants. Dress pants drive me bonkers. I just can't make it happen. So being able to wear more comfortable clothing and hats, again, for the overhead lighting has been so helpful, both in school and at work. And having all of those needs met it makes all the difference in the world. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So definitely a lot of those totally agree. And then with the hybrid thing, it also is good for the sorry, my guinea pig just started squeaking because he's like, oh, mommy's here. Sorry if you heard that. The loss of flexibility, because I also have ADHD, and task switching can sometimes be really challenging if I have to switch between a bunch of things. And sometimes if I'm working on a large project, it's much easier for me to just be like, I'm going to do this for the next 10 hours. And then maybe I'll start the next day an hour later because I worked for 10 hours the day before. And like, that is so much better than arbitrarily stopping this project that I have really good momentum on because it's 5 o'clock. And so having a little bit of flexibility in that is really useful, just to be like, I'm still doing the same amount of work. I'm often doing even more work, but my work is also better because I'm doing it in one session and I'm less exhausted by task switching between so many different things. And then similar for the remote work, especially because I have a lot of visual issues and the commute really messes me up. And like I also have some visual snow on top of everything. So I'll get like kind of like fraction of a second after images constantly. And I constantly feel like someone's coming into my lane. And on days when I'm having sensory issues and I can't filter that as well, the amount of executive functioning it takes for me to get to work safely ruins me for the rest of the day. So having flexibility on like maybe if I did have a regular hybrid schedule where I'm in like Tuesday through Thursday, if I'm having a bad sensory visual day for some days, if I can just be like, actually, there's no scheduled meetings, I'm not going to come in on Tuesday because if I come in today, I will not be productive for the entire day because I've already used up all the executive functioning I have just getting here safely. And now I'm going to think about all day I have to get home in this state too. So that level of flexibility is like vital. So yeah.
I found with one job that I had, the owner of the company, I used to do books for her, and what she would do is after her business had closed because she was a psychologist. So after her last client, she would leave for the day, and I had a set of keys so I could go in and I could work by myself. So there wouldn't be anybody else around. It just, and it took me no time at all to do her books, but just having that opportunity to say, well, can I work here by myself? Not to mention she was a major micromanager. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. But yeah, just, she said, what accommodations do you need? And at first I didn't quite know how to answer the question. But then I came up with working without you here, and it worked exceedingly well. There was never a problem with my work product, and I didn't get micromanaged.
Yeah, that does
Amazing.
remind me of another point is like if you want to micromanage me, like if you tell me that there are things I can do wrong and I have to do something a very specific way, you're gonna have to tell me literally every possible variation. If you just give me room to move and flow, I'll improvise on the spot. I'll do what I need to do. But if you're like, oh, you keep on hitting these invisible barriers of like things that need to be done a certain way just because I decided, like I'm going to need to know every possible thing then. And I promise you it will be more work to micromanage me than it will be to not. So yeah.
That does it for this week's episode of The Pulse. Join us next time when we dive deeper into the autistic experience with our team. As always, if you have questions or ideas for the show, send an email to voa@pacificautismfamily.com. We look forward to more of your great questions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.